Hi everybody, it's Ricky again with audio reviews. Today I'm actually going to review a series of books by Patrick Ness. The first one's called The Knife of Never Letting Go. It's 11 hours and 54 minutes. The second one is The Ask and the Answer. It's 12 hours and 48 minutes. And the third one is Monsters of Men, and that's 14 hours and 22 minutes. And the reason this time that I'm doing the whole series is, well, because I finished them all. So I just figured I'd do it all in one. The narrator on this one is Nick Podell, and he is fantastic. He is my personal favorite narrator. He gets the voices down, and he knows exactly when to pause and when to put more emphasis on certain words and sentences. And most of the books that he narrates, you can tell that he really enjoys the books themselves. And I've listened to quite a few books just because he's the narrator. And this was one of those series that I looked up and thought, well, that sounds kind of interesting. And also, it's Nick Podell. So if you're out there, Nick Podell, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being a narrator. You bring so much life to these books. Anyway, so these series, it's pretty interesting. I would classify it definitely as like a, a maybe fantasy, um, but it's also very much a love story. The two main characters are Viola and Todd, and Viola is coming in with a spaceship. Her spaceship crashed, and her parents died. They were scouting this new planet to inhabit. Well, there had been previous spaceships, and this planet had things they called spackle, which were the original inhabitants of the planet. And they didn't use verbal communication. They basically used their thoughts, and all their thoughts are audible to everybody else. So what happened is when the first spaceships landed, the all of the men's thoughts were suddenly heard by everybody. So none of the women's were all still quiet, but every single man's thoughts were heard by everybody. You could even, and it's interesting because you could even hear all the animals, all their thoughts. So, and they called it the noise, which is very cool, I thought, because it seemed like just constant noise because every thought they think can be heard by everybody. So you can see how that's problematic, especially for the ladies. Anyway, so I'm not going to give away the whole story, but it's full of adventure. In the first book, it Patrick Ness is excellent with his character development. While there are a lot of main characters, it's basically Todd and Viola. It's their story, and it's the first book is how they meet, and they try to escape the Mayor Prentice, who basically just wants to kill all the ladies. He doesn't trust people whose thoughts he can't hear or control. And so they run. They make a run for it, try to find a place where they can live. But what they didn't know was that the mayor had been basically preparing an army. And as they ran, this army pretty much ran after them and took over village after village after village until they came to the main town. I guess it'd be their city. And so then they ended up taking over that too. Um, so the ask and the answer is at the end of book one, they get separated because Viola gets hurt. They discover in the Knife of Never Letting Go that Todd can't kill. He's just not a violent person. He can't, even to save his life, he can't kill. And in the ask and the answer, the mayor separates them. Well, in their separation, Viola ends up teamed up with a bunch of the ladies who also want to take control of the city and get rid of the mayor because, he's terrible. So um, they start questioning each other's loyalty and motives in this one, and um, start on separate paths. So the cool thing is that by the end of this one, um, they really come back together and really trust each other. Well, the other thing is that there are thousands and thousands of other people getting ready to land. And in the ask and the answer, in this battle between Mayor Prentice and the female leader, Mayor Prentice ends up basically slaughtering over 1,000 of the spackle. One of them, which is 1017, he's one that sort of torments Todd because he's very intelligent, and he can see that Todd doesn't like what he's being forced to do to them. And like I said, I'm not going to tell you all the details because it'd still be really. This is definitely a good book to listen to. Um, Even for teenagers, it would be decent. There's not a whole lot of cursing, a little bit, but not a whole lot. The violence, there is some violence in it, but not super explicit violence. And it's not sexual in nature. Romantic, but not sexual. Anyway, so in the third book, The Monsters of Men, it's basically the spackle versus the humans. And they have to try to find some type of solution that doesn't end up with everybody dead. And it's very interesting how they end up. I'm not going to tell you the ending, but how they end up reaching a resolution. And the very end of this book was one of those moments in a book where you're like, really? Like, that can't happen, you know? But it's fantasy, so whatever the author wants to happen can happen. Um, anyway, so I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope you check out anything narrated by Nick Podell. I'll have more because he's just awesome. And also, Patrick Ness, really great author. Excellent character development. Excellent, which is such a key thing for me because you want to feel like you know these people. You want to feel like you're connected with these characters, that they could be your friend or they could be you in some way. And he is excellent with his character development. He really takes the time to get to know them as they adventure along. They progress and they grow and they change, and he does a great job at that. And it's just interesting, the whole concept of being able to hear everybody, all the men, all the time. I know that's not something I would like. I don't think anybody would like it, and they didn't like it. And they tried to fix it, and um, it's just interesting. So I hope you guys check out this book. There are 3 books. Like I said, Knife of Never Letting Go, The Ask and the Answer, and Monsters of Men, all by Patrick Ness, narrated by Nick Podell. Thanks for checking in with me. Hope you guys have a great 4th of July.